This is probably the best news that we've had in electric motorcycles in a long time, because Zero just came out with a concept, and that concept is stunning.
Yeah, this is huge news actually, because it comes from a brand, Zero, and huge design. But this is by far one of the coolest and most practical, I think, electric designs we've seen in a long time.
And again, it's coming from Zero Motorcycles, which is one of, if not, the big name in electric motorcycles. So this concept is called the SRX, and there's really no hard details about it so far.
A little bit. We got a little bit of details.
A little bit, but there's just mostly this design, and it came out as part of a collaboration with a design firm called Huge Design, and Huge has worked with a bunch of different big names.
Yeah, a lot. Like GoPro, for example, they were part of designing the Hero 5, which is a design that carried on through like the Hero 7 and Hero 8. Bowers & Wilkins speakers, Seagate, Intel, Sonos, consumer electronics has been their space for a long time, and that's kind of what they're experts in, and they're venturing out into motorcycles, but it's not the first time they've done this.
No, they also helped with the initial design for what became the Zero FXE. That original concept was inspired and worked on by Huge Design. So Bill Webb of Huge Design designed that concept for the FXE called the Zero SM. And then what became the production FXE really looks mostly like what that concept looked like. So solid chance here that on this new collaboration between the two of them, that whatever production bike comes out of this SRX concept will almost certainly look mostly like that.
Yeah, I mean, look at the SM concept bike and the FXE side by side, and they are remarkably similar. If there's a brand that's actually got the resources to go and make it into something real, something you can buy in a dealership, Zero's probably going to be the one to do it.
Yeah, Zero's probably got the most momentum and, again, the biggest name when it comes to electric motorcycles.
Zero and Huge Design says they wanted this to be somewhere between a street fighter and a track bike, and looking at it, it definitely looks like a track bike. You've got big old brakes up front, inverted forks, and what looks to be a fully fared motorcycle, but then you still get some of those aspects of a naked bike or a street fighter popping through, because you can see the whole powertrain. As you get to the back of the bike, more of these components become visible.
Yeah, it's not all fairing. It's also not all sharp angles and hard lines. Very modern, a very fresh looking design. This really doesn't look like any other motorcycle that I've seen. Still something that you would realistically expect can make production. It doesn't look like a Tron bike or something impossible to build.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at some of the details on here, it looks close to production already. Like, a lot of times you'll see these concept bikes and they have crazy switchgear and stuff. This has a regular red kill switch, which every bike usually has.
Yeah.
It's got a key I can see up there on the dash.
And it'll be interesting to see in a finished product if they keep a lot of what looks like really high-end fit and finish and quality of materials. Because a lot of Zero's bikes are more utilitarian. They're not necessarily like a Triumph or something nice to the touch. This bike could potentially be a much more premium offering from Zero, so maybe they'll take a step further when it comes to the quality of the materials and make this into a really premium bike. But at this point, we can't say.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Looking at the back end of the bike, I really love some of these design elements, like around the rear foot peg. You've got this circular mount that matches up with exactly where the electric motor is, and that taillight, man, is so cool. I mean,
that round tail light.
Of course, if this makes it to production, they're gonna need a spot for a license plate. Reflectors are mandatory, things like that. So it'll probably get a little messier back there, but that taillight that integrates so well into the tail end of the bike, and it almost looks like there's a LED ring inside of there and like a clear window you can look into.
Yeah.
It looks really cool.
Now, in terms of the actual hardware for the bike, apparently they confirmed that the ZF7510 motor and the ZF 17.3 kilowatt hour lithium battery are going to make it into this bike.
Or at least that's what's in the concept version.
Yeah. So I guess it remains to be seen what's going to happen when this bike actually makes production, because everything is always a little, at least, subject to change. Zero's issue has definitely never been, if anything, power.
Pricing we know absolutely nothing about.
Yeah, and we won't.
But
for a
I'm on
long
the
time.
Zero website right now, and I'm going to do this kind of real time because I'm actually unsure like how much. Probably the SRS would be the most comparable bike, right? In terms of what you're going to use it for.
Yeah, I suppose so. And that is, at minimum, a $24,000 bike.
Spec it out.
If you spec it out with the power tank, which is the most expensive option, it's 27. Even with the rapid charger, it's just under 27. So, yeah, I mean, these are not cheap motorcycles. That's typical for the EV bike category. None of these are really cheap bikes. And for a lot of their higher end products, round about the $27,000 price range, that is pretty typical. Same thing with the SRF.
So do you think this is going to be a $10,000 bike?
No, I don't think it's going to be a $10,000 bike. It would be interesting to see if they maybe start gunning for the really, really top end of high performance flagship motorcycles, going for that Ducati-esque $40,000 price range.
Yeah, or like the MV Brutales, or
Yeah, or who knows? Maybe they've sold enough bikes and paid for enough of their research, development, tooling, powertrains that since they can reuse some of those components, maybe they're able to make a higher quality product that's not necessarily that much. What if this bike could be around $30,000? That would be really cool.
That would be, and I think that's a fair price. Like, people are gonna say in the comments, "Wow, $30,000 for a motorcycle," but I could see the value in this for sure.
Yeah, I don't have 30 grand or more potentially to spend on any vehicle, especially not a motorcycle. But at the same time, even if there's bikes out there that not all of us are going to buy, it's just cool to see.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There is the Zero SRX. Hopefully we'll see this bike come into production and look very similar to this, and hopefully in a short period of time, because like we said, Zero's got the resources, they know how to build an electric bike, and they know how to get them out there.
And this is also the kind of thing that's going to help keep them at the top of the news cycle. It's going to help keep them relevant. Obviously, this is a category of bikes that's changing very quickly. A lot more electric bikes are coming out, so they need to be doing substantial things like this, and this seems like a good step in that direction of keeping Zero around the top of the EV motorcycle bike segment.
Before we go, there's a KLR, Kawasaki KLR for sale on TFL bids right now. Brendan, who works here, it's his bike and he's trying to offload it. He's even accepting trade offers. So if you've always wanted a KLR and you've got some bike sitting in your garage that you lost interest in 5 years ago, let us know. Maybe we can make something happen.
Yeah, and also as soon as more specs come out on this bike, we'll be reporting on it. So keep your eyes peeled for that, and we'll see you in the next.